In the quiet village of Adule, where dusty roads wound between clay houses and the smell of roasted corn drifted through the evening air, lived a girl named Eshat. Eshat was tall and graceful, with eyes that seemed to hold the sky itself. But her beauty was not her most striking quality. What made her special was her heart, kind, gentle, and willing to sacrifice for others. Her parents, old and frail, had her in their late years. Life was not easy for the family. Poverty pressed them on all sides, yet Eshat carried their burdens without complaint. At only 16, she gave up her schooling to support them. Each morning, she balanced a tray of bananas and fruits upon her head, calling out to neighbors in a soft voice. "Banana, sweet banana, fresh oranges, come and buy." By afternoon, she returned home and sat before her little wooden stand, roasting and selling corn. This routine became her word, a rhythm of survival and love. New moon, the night of silence. One evening, as she walked home along a quiet path, a group of young men called out to her. Their voices were unsettling, but Eshat, ever polite, answered gently. "Do you want fruit? I must hurry home before it grows dark." But instead of buying, they blocked her way, pressuring her with words she did not like. Eshat shook her head firmly. "No," she said, gathering her tray. "Please, let me go. My parents are waiting." The night grew heavier, and when she did not return, her parents began to worry. "Where is Eshat?" her mother whispered, her hands trembling. "She is never this late," her father muttered, pacing the small room. By midnight, neighbors had gathered. Lanterns were lit, voices rang out in alarm. "Has anyone seen Eshat? Our daughter is missing." The search began, but the night gave no answers. At the police station, they were told to wait until morning. With heavy hearts, her parents returned home, sitting in silence, staring at the door, hoping she might walk through. Sunrise the morning after. At dawn, a farmer on his way to his field spotted something unusual along the roadside. It was a girl, lying weakly on the ground. His heart froze when he recognized her. "Eshat," he cried, rushing forward. Her lips trembled. "Help, please." He carried her quickly to the hospital, where she was treated with care. When her parents arrived, their tears flowed freely. Her mother wept openly, clutching her daughter's hands. Her father covered his face, whispering, "Why did we send her alone? Why wasn't it us instead?" Cloud with rain, a changed heart. Though her body slowly healed, Eshat's spirit carried scars. The cheerful girl who once laughed while selling fruit now moved quietly, her gaze distant. She avoided crowded places, kept to herself, and trusted no one easily. Yet, through all her pain, she held on to her family. They say the sky over Adule remembers everything, every laugh, every hush, every footstep on the red earth. After the rains that year, the village smelled of orange rind and wet clay, and the sun rose like a coin pressed into the throat of the valley. That same light, once generous to Alicia, now seemed to hesitate at the edge of her window. Alicia's life had narrowed to a single, repeating question: why? It lived inside her like an ache, a rhythm she could not stop. Her days were long shadows. She woke, looked through the small pane window at the road that led to the stream, sat on the balcony like a silent statue, and repeated the question until the syllables lost meaning. She did not answer when neighbors greeted her, she did not laugh at the children who chased a stray dog past her compound. She was there, and she was not. Her parents tried to hold the broken pieces together with the only thing left to them: walk. They rose with the chickens and walked to other houses, to nearby farms, to the market, bringing back whatever they could find to fill an empty bowl. They asked Alicia to rest, to let time sew up what had been torn. She tried, but at night the past came back like wind finding a loose shutter. One afternoon, when the sun was a lazy coin, her mother went to fetch oranges and plantains a little beyond the usual path. The road there was thin and used by cars more than it had any right to be. People said later that they heard the thud and then nothing. The driver did not stop. They brought her back wrapped in white cloth, the way the elders of Adule used to say farewell. Alicia returned from the stream with a jar on her head and the chatter of water in her ears. She found a crowd instead of a greeting, a ring of bodies stepping aside with eyes that would not meet hers. Her father's face, a map of grief, came forward before the words did. He could not bring himself to keep the sentence whole. "Your mother," he started, and the rest of the words slotted into place like a badly fitting lid. Alicia moved through that crowd as if walking through fog. The white cloth. The rigid hands of those who had washed and wrapped. She called to her mother, shook her, begged the body to wake. There was no answering voice. Only the hush of things that had been. The funeral was quick. They topped the soil over her mother with the efficient hands of people who had to leave afterward. Alicia watched the palm fronds settle like tired birds. In the days that followed, her father became a different kind of absence. He faded as if someone had stopped pouring water on the clay that held him up. He grew thin from the walk and the waiting, and when his breath finally went, it left Alicia in a house that echoed. Grief is a predator that eats hope first. Alone, she thought of living. Of how easy the road to the forest could look in her own mind. The rope she took that day felt like a bridge. She climbed into the hush of trees, where birds had no interest in human sorrow. She looped the rope and stood at the edge of everything she had known. Fate, or mercy wearing the shape of someone else, chose that moment to arrive. He saw her there, a silhouette cut against the green. He called out, at first a stranger's alarm, then a string of small, steady words. She fought him with the last of her stubbornness, spat out the hot, raw lines she had repeated 1,000 times, "Leave me, I'm tired, I'm finished." He didn't leave. He sat beside her instead, on the moss, on the same ground that had felt in different moments before. He spoke without hurry. He did not try to fix her, he did not offer hollow comfort. He told a story about his own village, about a woman who planted a stubborn little garden after the rains and how the garden kept surprising him by refusing to die. He told her that sometimes people think death is the only kind of ending that makes sense, but endings are everywhere, some we can mend, some we cannot. There were small truths in his words, like seeds tucked into her mouth by gentle fingers. When she finally let the rope fall, the sound was small as a dropped fruit. He helped her back toward the path, not with ceremonies but with solid, ordinary actions, water handed over, a shirt offered, a walk down the lane. He took her to his home in the village beyond the reach, not because he planned to rescue her forever, but because he could make a cup of tea and because no one had asked her if she would come. In that new house, Alicia found space to breathe that wasn't emptiness. The man, called Musa by everyone, did not ask for her story to entertain him. He listened when she chose to speak and sat silent when she did not. He brought news of distant cousins and of the rain. He hung a curtain where light fell too hard on her, planted a pot of basil that smelled like a small country, and, slowly, steadily, offered her a map of days that did not include the repetition of the question why. The village beyond the ridge had its own ghost, its own rules. But it also had a woman named Nana Kemi who made porridge like a ritual and a market where people traded gossip the way they traded onions, quickly and without ceremony. For the first time since everything changed, Alicia walked among people who did not pretend to understand the exact hollow inside her but who made room for her to exist anyway. Healing does not come in clean lines or satisfy the tidy endings of stories. It arrives in small, dishonest increments, a laugh that sneaks out before she can shut it down, a morning she does not spend pressed to the window, a night when sleep comes softer. She learns to carry her memories like a heavy basket, sometimes spilling, sometimes full, sometimes light enough to hold with one hand. But the past in Adule is not finished with her. Rumors have a way of walking on two legs and entering any quiet moment, and there are nights when the memory of what happened returns like a bad dream and the edges of the wound pause. Musa does not pretend to be a way out, he is a place to be, and sometimes that is enough. He begins to teach her small things: how to mend a torn shirt, how to bargain at the market, how to sit with grief when it swells and then soothes. And in the hollow of that slow, stubborn rebuilding, Alicia discovers a quieter question: who will she become if she does not let the worst thing define the sum of her days? It is not an answer she arrives at quickly. Rather, it is a curve she walks toward, meeting children who need her hands, listening to women who have kept secrets, learning to plant orange seeds in pots with the careful fingers of someone reclaiming taste.